what about the independence of institutions? Has there been vendetta politics against opposition parties by the misuse of institutions which are meant to be independent and autonomous? Has the Election Commission of India become toothless or not? And for what reasons? These are questions that we need to ask. Were bills properly debated?
And what is this childish act of brandishing the constitution book? Kya kar rahe hai? Who are you trying to fool? That's why I call them children of Goebbels, because it was Goebbels who said the first rule of propaganda is to accuse the other of what you're guilty of. Now finally 30 seconds to the Election Commission itself. People are talking about damaging the institution. Congress acolyte and Sanjay Gandhi's man Friday Naveen Chamla played a ruthless part during the emergency, in fact letting loose a reign of terror, so much so he was indicted by the Shah Commission for his crimes. But what happened as soon as the Congress came to power? He was made the chief election commissioner just before the general election. And Rahul brandishes the constitution even as Modi has never unilaterally overturned an SC verdict like Rajiv, never abused Article 356 like Indira, never passed a press objectionable act like Nehru.
To bring in the former Rajya Sabha member of parliament also with us, Mr. Pawan Verma. Mr. Verma, look, Rahul Gandhi could have also started the ball rolling by saying, okay, look, we are not going to contest the speaker's post. We're not going to put up any candidate, number one. Number two, he could have also informed his own allies, talking about consensus, when he actually picked Mr. Suresh to be the candidate from the India bloc side. We all know that they weren't taken into consideration, their opinions.
I would like to...
No, one second, sir. Let's be peaceable. Yes, Mr. Verma.
Thank you, Rahul. I'm a little bemused that the Constitution has suddenly become the most revered documents in the hands of all those who are elected representatives, be it in the opposition or on the ruling benches. The Constitution is a piece of paper. Unless you actually infuse it with the spirit of democracy, which is its intent and basic structure. Now, it's absolutely right to say that the Congress has not had a clean record in terms of preserving the spirit of democracy. We know that during the decades of Congress rule, the irony was that the provisions of the Constitution itself were used to subvert some of the fundamentals of democracy, and for shortage of time I can only quote the misuse of Article 356. We are also aware, of course, of the emergency which was imposed in 75, which again was done under the provision of a constitution. However, I think there is a limit to which you can keep resurrecting the past as a shield to how the aberrations continue in the present under different governments. We must face the truth. Yes, the session could have begun by more consultation in the opposition. But it is equally true that the BJP could have extended a branch of cooperation by saying, the speaker will be from our party, the deputy speaker will be from the largest opposition party, for which there are many precedents. Thirdly, let us be honest with ourselves. Perhaps there has not been a formal emergency declared, but in the last 10 years, we have seen the Constitution being misused, Rahul, and please, as a fair journalist, bear me out. The Constitution means freedom of speech and expression and the right to dissent. Please ask your research team to check how many people have been arrested under the draconian UAPA for having been critical of Prime Minister Modi and Mr. Yogi Adityanath. Please ask yourself how many governments where the ruling party was in a minority have been toppled through money power and this great development of resort politics. Please ask yourself how the PMLA has been so strengthened under this rule that today the presumption of innocence has been reversed, which is the fundamental aspect of the Constitution. Please ask yourself when you quote the ordinance on the Shahbano judgment, what happened to the Supreme Court's judgment on the powers of the Delhi government, which were overruled by an ordinance by the same government which today is accusing the Congress? The citizen is entitled to ask that if these freedoms were important then and were violated, has there been no violation of these freedoms now? What about the independence of institutions? Has there been vendetta politics against opposition parties by the misuse of institutions which are meant to be independent and autonomous? Has the Election Commission of India become toothless or not? And for what reasons? These are questions that we need to ask. Were bills properly debated? Or were they pushed through by the brute majority of the ruling party? So while I do not condone for a moment the wrongs that were initiated during the Congress party rule, I must acknowledge, to be fair, that these aberrations have continued in a different garb even today, and perhaps the BJP is facing the consequences of a reduced majority precisely because of that.
Okay, so you're saying they brought it upon themselves. Okay, one second. Dr. Ranganathan, yes, would you like to respond? And after that, the BJP national spokesperson. I can't hear you, Dr. Ranganathan. I think you might be on mute. Yes.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I was just saying it's such a joy to be on the same panel as Pawanji and Bansalji and Mr. Anthony. So it's a great joy, and I think all three of them should be in the Rajya Sabha. But I want to say something that's...
elected from Ranganathan. Let me just introduce myself. I don't intend going to Rajya Sabha. I am a grassroots worker who works,
Well, good for you, sir. Good for you. Good for you. Nothing wrong in being elected to the Rajya Sabha. You don't become automatically disconnected from your roots. Pawanji will have a separate debate with you on that at another time. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan.
Not only that, we had a Prime Minister for 10 years who was a member of Rajya Sabha. So, Bansalji, you will be in exalted company. No,
I'm not.
Okay. It's not. He was just being a little.
This is not the subject.
Yeah, it's not the subject. Yeah.
Thank you. No, look. What are the facts, Rahul? The facts are that the Congress is behaving like a playground bully. But this was to be expected, given that they have an arrested adolescent at the helm of affairs and dynasty doormats as male au pairs to rock his cradle. And what is this childish act of brandishing the constitution book? Kya kar rahe ho yaar? Who are you trying to fool? That's why I call them children of Goebbels, because it was Goebbels who said the first rule of propaganda is to accuse the other of what you are guilty of. They whitewash their own crimes with the help of their media stooges. They whitewash religious fundamentalism and fanaticism if the religion is not Hinduism. They whitewash application of draconian laws when it suits them. They peddle fraudulent reports that claim India is no longer a democracy. They say that we speak truth to power. But for them, only Modi is in power. Didi is not. Bhagwant Mann is not. Everyone else who is not BJP government or at the helm of affairs a BJP government in a state is not. Look. No one has damaged our institutions, Rahul, and our constitution more than the Congress. Let us begin from his great-grandfather who dismissed duly elected governments at will, brought in the draconian First Amendment to curb free speech, arrested poets, jailed editors, banned books, censored films, outlawed even the humble harmonium for crying out loud. To his grandmother, who amended the constitution at will and proclaimed the emergency. To his father, who deployed commandos to raid newspaper offices throughout Rushdie's satanic verses. To finally his mother, under whose remote control ran a government that charged cartoonists with sedition. 8,500 activists, Rahul, were charged with sedition in a single day under the UPA. And the Home Minister Chidambaram called them quote-unquote anti-nationals. There exist as many as 295 documented instances of brutal trampling of democracy and freedom of expression under the Congress. But 87 of those occurred in the last 15 years when Rahul was powerful enough to have stopped these violations. The Congress government in Chhattisgarh arrested a man for complaining against power cuts and charged him with sedition. People might not know the damage the Congress did to other institutions. Let me take these two examples. Just a minute. Did you know the Congress blocked appointment of judges to the Supreme Court if they were in any way associated with the ideology of the RSS, or even so much as attended the funeral of an RSS person, as Justice Chandurkar did of Golwarkar? This is from the book Supreme Whispers by Chandrachud. Let me not even go into how many Supreme Court verdicts did the Congress overturn. The Shah Bano verdict, the bank nationalization verdict, the Privy Purse verdict. Now finally 30 seconds to the Election Commission itself. People are talking about damaging the institution. Congress acolyte and Sanjay Gandhi's man Friday Naveen Chawla played a ruthless part during the emergency. In fact, letting loose a reign of terror. So much so he was indicted by the Shah Commission for his crimes. But what happened as soon as the Congress came to power? He was made the chief election commissioner just before the general election. And Rahul brandishes the constitution even as Modi has never unilaterally overturned an SC verdict like Rajiv, never abused Article 356 like Indira, never passed a press objectionable act like Nehru. Honestly, breathing sense into Rahul Gandhi is like giving CPR to a dodo.
Well, Mr. Verma, let me just quickly bring you in before I bring in the Bharatiya Janata Party's national spokesperson. A quick response, actually.
My quick response is that Anand is as always eloquent, but I must say he's a good friend of mine. He's extremely good in chronologically presenting the weaknesses of the Congress, which I don't disagree with. We were in the evolution of democracy, and yes, the Congress misused the Constitution. I am saying to you that the ruling party for the last 10 years has also played with the Constitution or its spirit, and that is manifest in many of its actions.
Okay, so that's the point you're making. You're saying that you can't...
Power.
Okay, so you're saying there can't be whataboutery. Is that what you're saying?
Okay. Everybody needs to introspect.
Just 5 seconds.
Yeah, okay.
Everybody
introspect
needs to
is the word that... Okay, yes, okay.
The common citizen suffers.
Yeah, 10 seconds, Dr. Ranganathan. I want to bring in Anil Antony. He needs to step in here now.
Yes, but I am absolutely not in disagreement with Pawan ji. I agree with him, and I've said this so many times. We have been a danger to democracy ever since we became a democracy. Is Pawan ji going to say that remove the First Amendment to the Constitution? I am for removing it. We have laws that support draconian stamping of freedom of speech and expression.
Okay.
That's the problem.